He knows that I have mutas, and wisely he moves his marines in position to cover his turrets, and that's gonna pretty much deflect my mutalist harass. And yeah, wisely, you guys can see he keeps his marines split up. He keeps some marines at the natural. He has a turret, just one turret on the outside position, but that really makes it the most difficult perimeter for a mutalist to breach, and it makes it very hard for mutalists to be able to attack effectively. Now, Spades is once again built up that massive ball, and he is ready to push out yet again. The advantage this time, though, I had the Zelnaga watchtower, I have the creep, so I did kind of know that he was at this watchtower. And this is when you guys can see on my production tab just mass producing attacking units. This is when I completely stopped pumping drones, and I was actually ahead of drones. Even though I lost a lot in that last massive attack, I was able to reproduce drones. You never want to fall behind an economy. And this is when I was producing mostly all of my attacking units, and you guys can see quite a few mutas, quite a few banelings and lings. And the one thing I was really worried about was these backdoor rocks. I hadn't yet destroyed these rocks, and so Spades could have made an attack, and I would have had to come all the way around to defend against that. So this is where I started to work the backdoor rocks and try to take them out. And Spades is going to be making a two-pronged attack. He's moving submarines and marauders into my hatchery, but luckily my rocks were broken down, and I was going to be able to deal with this quite easily with all my lings and banelings and mutas coming in, and those marines and marauders quickly evaporate to the green acid as I was able to hold that off. So meanwhile, you guys can see back in the center of the map, Spades, this is a position you don't want to be in because he's on the creep. He lost some of his marines and marauders, and he's very, very exposed right now. And as you guys can see, Spades even unsieging, so my mutalist marines and banelings, mutalist lings and banelings gonna be able to do a lot of damage, but my banelings not focusing on the marines in the back. And that was actually extremely poor play by me. My banelings just kind of moved in, and I didn't tell them to go after the marines, and because of that, now my mutalists are exposed to the marines, and if those marines had died to the banelings originally, then my mutalists would have been able to pick off all the marauders and the tanks. But as you guys can see, as a result of my blunder, my hatchery will go down. My drones desperately trying to evacuate the area of the hatchery falls, and now Spades is in a very, very good position. After sniping off that hatchery, it looks like I was able to save some of my drones, not all of them, but I have to hold on to my natural right here. This is do or die. It looks like I do have some banelings, gonna roll them in, but my mutalists are just succumbing to the marines, marauders, and the tanks. Actually, just the marines. And you guys can see my banelings didn't really focus the marines down there at that time either. Now I have to use my drones once again to hold off Spades' attack. But this brutal Terran attack after Terran attack is doing serious economic damage. As you guys can see now, I'm at 41 harvesters under 60, and that was a huge blow. And this time Spades intelligently falls back his reinforcements before I can move out and pick them off. So Spades here was playing extremely well, and I was like, man, I gotta make something happen. And I was like, screw it, I'm making 33 banelings, and there they are, 33 fruit bombs courtesy of the fruit dealer. And of course, you know, you don't want to go into an all-in mode. You don't want to be like, oh my god, I have to build all these units, I have to win the game right now. You still want to have a backup plan. And so I was getting my hatchery, re-establishing my hatchery down at the third, and of course was trying, well, I guess I wasn't reproducing drones all that much. I was actually producing a ton of zerglings, and I guess that was a bit of a blunder by me. I should have actually been mass producing drones trying to catch up, but perhaps I felt like, oh man, I need to defend against the next attack. And the nice thing right now is, I didn't really realize this, but Spades was actually mined out at his main. So all he had was his natural expansion mining, and this is why he was trying to get the gold income up. So in actuality, I wasn't too far behind like I thought I was. And here comes my counterattack, here comes the lings and banelings, and this time this is gonna do a ton of damage. And I was microing my banelings this time around, focusing down the marines that were running away. There you guys can see both of us at 200 APM apiece, and I was able to thwart that counterattack and safely breathe a sigh of relief. And my position right now, not actually that bad, as you guys can see, re-establishing my drone count. And the nice thing for me was Spades was actually running only off of one base. He was desperately trying to get his gold eco back up, whereas I was actually running off of two bases, as this hatchery was just now re-established. And you guys can see my income not too far behind Spades at all, and now I was trying to work down the gold rocks as well. So in this entire game, I was even though I absorbed attack after attack. The main thing I want you guys to take away, if you guys are a Zerg player or any player in general, is reproduce your drones. Even if you think that you're going to be unsafe, if you think you're not going to have enough units to deal with an attack, just make drones, because you have to remember drones can still fight. Yes, they're kind of weak. I mean, they do 5 damage apiece. But if you're not going to make drones, if you're just going to constantly make attacking units in fear of an opponent's attack, then you're going to fall behind. You're just going to fall behind in the late game, and it's just not going to work out. So, as you guys can see, this is where Spades decided to be a little cute. He was going to load up some of his dropships, and I knew at this point that Spades was very, very low on the Marine count because I had killed off so many Marines, and I knew he had a lot of Marauders and tanks left over. So this is where I decided to make a huge Muta switch. You guys can see 8 Mutalists, and I did indeed scout these dropships with this Overlord right here. I did see the dropships moving in, and I decided to use my Mutalist to counter that because I knew there wouldn't be any Marines, but I didn't know that there would be, that Spades was going to focus down my hatchery first. And of course, this is actually really bad. I was forced to pull drones off the line, but Spades quickly dispatches of my hatchery and takes it out for, I believe, that is the 3rd time today, killing off my hatchery, and that was such a huge blow to my economy because right now I was down to 1 base. I was trying to get up the gold, and I once again had to reestablish this base, but a very, very good attack by Spades. And this is where I realized, you know what, I have to make something happen with all of my mutas, and I try to catch my opponent's Spades off guard with this muta tech switch, but wisely Spades had a ton of Marines, and with all those Marines, he was pretty much in a very good position, and he was getting all of this gold income. And if we look at the income tab, you guys can see, thanks to mules, thanks to the gold base, Spades was actually ahead of me, and of course thanks to the fact that I lost my 3rd expansion. Spades was actually ahead of me in minerals per minute, but the one thing that I had in my advantage at this point was my large muta count. As you guys can see, I was ready to push in. I thought, you know, this is the time to go ahead and go into my opponent's base and check out what's going on, and I really wanted to do some kind of damage, but my opponent bringing his Marines back, very good reaction right there, and I was like, man, where's all the SCVs? All the SCVs are gone, there's nothing to kill, and all of my mutas are taking so much damage from these turrets. And that was a bit of a hesitation from me. You know, if you're gonna move in with all your mutas, do something with them. But I just decided to float around and take some damage. The one thing you don't want to do is take damage to your mutas. As you guys can see, some of them now in the critical red and even in the orange, and you know, all that bad stuff. So, you know, if you're gonna move in like that, you gotta be decisive. StarCraft is a game of decision making, and one thing Spades was doing well was making great decisions. He was attacking my hatchery when I was most vulnerable, making drops happen, making them work, and he was, well, he was doing great on his economy as well. As you guys can see, 50, well, I guess I was ahead, 77 over 58, but the main thing I was worried about was the fact that Spades' army was at 192, so he was near max, whereas my army was at a piffling 136, and so if I wanted to win this game, I was gonna either have to get up to Hive Tech really quickly or make these Banelings count. They had to hit their target, and that was the fragile Marines, but Spades, wisely with that decision making he's been making all game, tucking the Marines in the back where it's most difficult to reach them. And now he was starting to push forward with his tanks, and he was looking to do quite a bit of damage. As you guys can see, I was actually going to try to roll around and come with a flank with my Banelings, but unfortunately the Planetary Fortress at the gold took out all the Banelings, and at the front here, at the main attack, all my Banelings died, and Spades here making an attack once again, and this is where it was pretty much game. I don't know if you guys actually saw my Banelings misfire, but I just want to go ahead and show you guys that. I'm just going to rewind, something I don't do quite enough. And fast forward through, here it is. So as you guys can see, I was coming around with the Banelings, and this is where the Planetary Fortress just took them out. And at the front door, my Banelings just got absolutely obliterated before they could reach the Marines. So yeah, just towards the late game, I think the critical factor was when Spades took out this hatchery right here, because that hit my economy so badly, and I was running off of 1 base versus Spades 1 base, and really a 1 base Zerg is just not going to be a good and healthy Zerg. So when he attacked that hatchery, that was when I was really far behind, and of course, you know, I felt kind of good being able to draw out this game to 27 minutes, but Spades definitely a better player at 2300 on ladder, and he showcased it, playing very, very well. And this series isn't over yet. It was a best of 3, so I am going to play Spades again. And yeah, look forward to that game. It's going to be coming out right after this. But I think this was a pretty good game. You know, Zerg versus Terran, definitely one of the finer and more refined matchups in StarCraft 2. And if you guys think I did well, post it down below. If you guys think I played like crap, post that down below too. I'd love to read your guys' feedback and comments. So thanks a lot, guys. Game 2 will be coming out after this. HD, signing out.